and it's my honor to be here today with the rest of my team and some distinguished speakers to talk to you about the main work that has been done by this Federal Mobility Group acquisitions team and define for you what it means when we talk about federal mobility. So today we have not only some presenters that will discuss with you the work of the team and what comprises the federal mobility landscape, the categories of federal mobility. We also are honored to have with us the acquisition vehicle leaders and key personnel to discuss with you their particular vehicles and how your mobility solutions can be met by them. So there are basically two parts to this. What we will be doing is accepting questions at the end of the presentation of everything, and we really look forward to that interaction with you. So to begin, could I get slide 2, please, Kelly? Thank you very much. We prepared an agenda here on slide 2 that just guides us through what we're going to talk about this afternoon. First, it's wonderful to have with us one of the FMG co-chairs. Vincent Sriptapan is going to give us an overview of the structure of the FMG, its background, and its initiatives. And then I will focus on this particular acquisition pillar and what we've done. We created a mobility categories and acquisition options guide that we're going to share with you and review. And then we're going to actually get into the categories, as I mentioned briefly before, so that you understand what it means when we say these things. There is a mobility solutions matrix that we're going to review, which basically takes these categories and aligns them with the government-wide solutions that are available so that you as a purchaser or a reviewer or anybody that's interested in the acquisition process here, a CIO, a CAO, you will be able to look at your strategic sourcing plans for your IT needs and see what is available for you to meet these either individual requirements or span various categories. So we're very excited to share that with you. This has not been done before in the federal government, and our team was able to pull that off. Then we are going to save a lot of time for each acquisition vehicle that participated and that offers either some or all of these categories of solutions to share with you. So we will have speakers from Army Chess, from GSA, MASS, the new name for IT-70 and EIS, from the NIH NITAC program, from NASA SEWP, and from Navy Spiral 3. So may we have slide 3, please, Kelly?
Slide changes are advancing slowly, but there you go. Thank you.
No problem. I'd like to introduce Vincent Sriptapan, who again is a co-chair from DHS for the overall Federal Mobility Group, because he wants to share with you what that group is and some amazing things that they've been embarking upon. And it is our parent group here. So Vincent, without further ado, I turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Betsy, and thank you all for joining us today. You're probably wondering where you can find the materials for this effort, great effort that the Mobile Acquisition Pillar was able to pull off. You will be able to find that on CIO.gov website if you look for Federal Mobility Group. And in particular, this effort and this, if you've got the webinar information or this recording, you should have gotten an attachment that actually has the PDF document there for you that describes all of this. And so if you're watching from, Federal Acquisition Institute, which is what we're planning to deliver this on to, you should have that as an attachment. As far as Federal Mobility Group, I really appreciate the opportunity. It is an organization, pretty much a community of practice, right, where it's really all volunteer. And we exist underneath the charter of the Fed CIO Council as one of the community of practices. We have a dotted line reporting structure to the Federal IT Category Manager at GSA and also on the Office of Federal Procurement Policy side of the house. So it goes up to the CAO Council, the Chief Acquisition Officer or Council. So for the most part, we exist here working across federal government to identify common mobility challenges, develop workable solutions, and create an opportunity to share best practices, right? So this is very much that platform. Some of us have been around working mobility since 2013 or longer, right? People who own and operate mobile programs in government or have a significant interest. But everything from the digital government strategy days back in 2013 to the mobile services category team with the creation of OMB 16-20. Those groups actually combined to actually start up this group that was chartered in July of 2019, which is the Federal Mobility Group. Our effort and our aim really is to help enable secure mobility going forward for the agencies. And as far as our leadership and how we work is that we have an executive sponsor identified through the CIO Council. In this case, it is Mr. Nicholas Ward from Department of Justice. He is their Chief Information Security Officer. And we have various co-chairs from different agencies. So myself, Vincent Turdupan, representing DHS. We have Christian Williams from GSA. And then we have Ms. Gemma Howell from NIST. And as far as, if you're interested to join, you're trying to figure out, well, what is this, how can I get involved? I can tell you we have over 200 plus members on our distro, about 45 departments and agencies. We meet on the first and third Tuesday of every month for the main group. And in the various pillars, we cover mobile security, mobile acquisition, 5G, and mission enablement. And we have leaders from Department of Interior, GSA, NASA SEWP, and USAID, Department of Defense, you name it. But really, if you're interested to join, if you have a .gov or .mil email address, you're a government person or you're a contractor supporting government, you need to get permission from your government sponsor. You can email us at wireless@gsa.gov. That's how you find out our information. And as far as, finding out presentations on anything that we're doing, wanting to get involved, again, you can find that, you can email us, but you also can get that information on max.gov where we actually keep our information. So with that, it's pretty much it from my end to talk about Federal Mobility Group. I want to transition it over back to Betsy and appreciate her and her leadership for this effort. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vincent. Really appreciate that background and context. So we are on page 4, and this is a focused overview of the acquisitions pillar. What I want to start out by saying is this particular pillar, since acquisition touches each and every one of the other groups, we pride ourselves on helping to promote the collaboration. As Vincent said, our distribution is for the general Federal Mobility Group is well over 200 individuals that represent all types of functions and levels of expertise. And for this particular team that is focused on mobile acquisitions, we've had a regular participation from over 30 people from multiple departments and agencies. And we not only have representatives on this team of the government-wide acquisition vehicles who are offering the mobility solutions, but we have program personnel, procurement personnel, and technology experts infused. And many people do double and triple duty across the pillars. So we're really happy to have that team. And what you see here is a result of months of effort and consensus on what is it that defines the federal mobility landscape. So that's a tough thing to do, but this has been a great team. So bottom line, this team was established to really look at the common challenges and develop solutions and share best practices aligned with purchasing mobile solutions in the government. So with this team that I described, we were tasked things very specifically with our former sponsor. We were asked to look through the Federal CIO Council to update the picture of the mobility landscape. The last definition of that was published in 2016 by the Mobile Services Category Team. And obviously in the past few years, there have been many technological changes and trends, and we not only wanted to capture what was accurate today, but be forward-looking and inclusive, and with the intent that there will be a regular cadence to update things. But we were focused on updating that and creating a new baseline. The second part of that was the identification of the existing government-wide vehicles that many that are best in class are used within certain organizations, but that offer some or all of these solutions. And you're going to see with the expansiveness of the categories and what's covered, this is not easily digestible. There are so many options out there. That is great news, but the challenge is the government customer finding what aligns best with them. So what this team is intending, because we all are working as a team and feel, I speak for everyone on this team, that we find that we have been successful if this guide helps you navigate this landscape and choose the best fit for you. You may have multiple fits that are very good, but we all feel thrilled and we all work to refer to each other's vehicles where we either have a discrepancy in what is offered, or perhaps you're doing other acquisition activities that align you with another vehicle. We all work together to refer each other to so that the customer is really getting what they need. So the third part of this task was, okay, you've updated the categories, you've defined the existing playing field of teams, as it were, you've got the roster. How do you align these? And that's what the matrix is. So what we're going to review with you at a pretty high level and how to use this guide is that once you understand what these categories are and what the definitions are, you will be able to look at the chart, and there are X's representing that that particular contract solution, contract vehicle, either offers some or all of the products or services that would fall under that particular category. So at a glance, you know that you're on the right track trying to get solutions to meet your mobility needs. So what our big accomplishment was is that we were able to identify and define or update 14 different components in the landscape. We're calling them categories, and I know that's kind of a loaded word. We tend to use words in multiple meanings here, but we simply mean we're organizing in 14 categories to communicate what is federal mobility. But we did that, and we aligned them with the existing vehicles so that you can be guided in making your purchasing decisions. Slide number 5, please. Thank you. Okay, so what do we have next? This is the guide itself. So what we did in developing this guide that did all of what I just mentioned, defining the categories, defining the acquisition vehicles, and aligning the two, is we vetted this through not only the team and the larger federal mobility group and the other parts of the federal mobility group, the other pillars to have a comment, but we also got feedback from both the category management side of the house and the CIO council side of the house. So we were fortunate pre-pandemic to be able to present to the Federal CIO Council, who did not have any comments or changes to this particular guide. And as part of the rollout to the broad acquisition community, we've been able to share this document. We're creating this webinar. We've reached out to FAI. We've reached out to ATARC. And also the contract solutions that are here are promoting these documents. So we're very happy that this is all part of the way to socialize that this is available as a guide for you. So the contract vehicles that you're going to hear more from at the end of this, toward the end of this webinar, we're talking about the Army Chess Program, IT Schedule 70 that is now called Multiple Award Schedule, and EIS, Navy Spiral 3, NASA SEWP, and the NIH NITAC program CIOCS and CIOSP3. And so again, you are going to see an alignment with these mobility categories of what these vehicles offer. And this was submitted originally last fall, but the approval was obtained in March, the official CIO approval. So that gave us the go-ahead to be able to socialize this with all of you. So next slide, please. When you find the acquisition guide, and as Vincent mentioned, not only is it within various government websites, some requiring controlled access, we emailed this to you as part of the distribution. So not only did you receive these slides, but you received a copy of the Federal Mobility and Acquisition Options Guide itself. And again, on the first slide here, there was a phone number, an email address provided so that you could send any questions about anything the FMG does to that and get a response. This slide is simply to show you what the cover of our acquisition guide looks like. It has all of the symbols of the organizations that participated and concurred on the development of it. Next slide, please. You will then find a table of contents that walks you through everything from kind of a high-level executive summary to the intent of this document and what we use as a baseline and how we went about setting up a new mobility framework with the definitions. And then the document itself has pages of information provided by each contract solution about their particular vehicle and how they offer mobility solutions and more. Next slide, please. So what we're going to do next is go into detail about each of these categories so that you understand what is in the definition. So again, I cannot applaud enough the work of this group representing all these different agencies, organizations, contract solutions, technical, CAO, CIO types coming together to take the baseline that was developed in 2016 and update these categories. There have been some new things added like Internet of Things and enterprise consulting, mobile enterprise consulting. Others have been redefined and even renamed to align with industry trends in the past few years. So what I am going to do now, just as a start, is read for you the names of these categories. And then what I'm going to do next is using the matrix itself that you will notice as you walk through it, not only provide the definitions of these services, but it shows you which contract vehicles offer, some or all of them. I'm going to then ask John Johnson, who not only is a senior advisor within the NASA SEWP program, but he happened to be one of the leaders in 2016 with GSA in the Mobility Services Category team. So we're honored to have him serving on this team to not only provide that historical context, but a much needed transition look to the future of where federal mobility is going. So I am going to start, as I said, by reading the categories that John will help define for you to better understand them are wireless carrier services, mobile hardware/infrastructure, mobile devices, enterprise mobility management, devices as service, telecommunications expense management, managed mobility services, mobile application vetting, mobile threat defense, mobile identity management, Internet of Things, mobile application development and platforms, ancillary mobile equipment, and mobile enterprise consulting. So next page, please, page 9. And with that, here is the look of page 1 of 3 of our matrix, and I welcome John Johnson to walk you through the definitions of the categories. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much, Betsy. And thank you, Vince, and to other members of the team. As you're looking through this, and one way to think about this, step 1 in category management is to define the categories by which you will be working in and through. The work of the mobile services category team, the work of the Federal Mobility Group and this acquisition pillar actually advances that one step further. You can start looking at this more so as domain expertise within a category. And that's exactly the type of community that Betsy and Vince and Suro and others have led associated with mobile technology in the federal marketplace. So this is great. Let's begin with what we mean by wireless carrier services. This is pretty straightforward. It's to include, but is not limited to, wireless telecommunication carriers and resellers of wireless services to provide mobile communications within the continental United States as well as outside the continental United States. As you're thinking of this, you can think of sort of the big 4 that we are all familiar with domestically, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, and Sprint Telecommunications. But it also includes other sort of MVNOs and other structures or other companies such as MetTel, who was able to offer singular service with multiple providers. And so that's what we mean by wireless carrier services and the indicated vehicles by which you can consider. This is actually a very important point because one natural question is going to be, well, which vehicle is the best to use? Oftentimes that is a dependent question. It really depends on how an agency is looking to execute and who they're looking to execute with. For example, if you required direct relations with your carriers and sort of required a direct access to your CONUS carrier, that would indicate some vehicles that would be available to you. If you're looking more for a MVNO or an orchestration model, that changes the dynamics a little bit and gives you considerations in terms of what it is that you may want to consider when you are procuring those type of solutions. Let's go on to mobile hardware and infrastructure. This is pretty straightforward as well. It's equipment for implementing mobile solutions or enhancing wireless communications. It includes in-building Wi-Fi repeaters, carrier antennas, other infrastructure enhancement products and solutions. We differentiated that with the next one, right? So the hardware, when you're looking at hardware, you want to think about those individual components, repeaters, the things that you need in order to make your wireless network really function and work, whether that's in building wireless or at the same time using straight carrier services as well. Mobile devices are the smartphones, feature phones, tablets, mobile hotspots. We are big fans of shortcuts. Not shortcuts to get away from things, but when there's an agency that does good work, we do try to be efficient. We always take a step back here. NSA's NIAP protection profile and the DSA approved device list are always very good starting points for any agency looking to procure a device and wondering whether or not it's gone through the necessary security protocols to be assessed and vetted in order for it to enter the federal footprint. Every agency conducts these, but there are some agencies with reciprocity, such as within FedRAMP. For me, personally, a good shorthand for me is anytime I'm looking at a device, I always check either NIAP or the DSA approved products list, in part because both of those entities within the Department of Defense really has early indications and early assessments and validation associated with many of the commercial sector's COTS products that we'd be interested in. For example, new versions of smartphones, new versions of tablets. Moving on to enterprise mobility management. This is a very interesting term that meant one thing differently in 2013 than it needs today. In 2013, the term of art was mobile device management. That was a particular feature as part of a larger security set. When you look at the security of a device, you're looking at whether the device is secure, whether the applications are controlled, and whether you have the ability to control the applications that people use or bring specific enterprise applications in through your infrastructure and out to your user base. Mobile device management, mobile application management, and an enterprise application store have all sort of combined from a tool sets and a standards base where it's sort of all in one now, which is referred to as enterprise mobility management. The vendors that take that are really in this space are the same vendors that we identified in 2013 as part of the MDM space, and many of the common ones include, for example, IBM's Math 360 as a cloud-based platform, AirWatch, which is a multi-based platform, as well as Mobile Iron. That's just to give 3 examples of the kind of technologies that fit within that enterprise mobility management space. Device as a service is described as a subscription-based mobile endpoint management service suite, enabling the endpoint to be acquired, managed, and utilized as a service. The service providers in this mechanism actually maintain ownership of those assets. It's almost like a leasing type of an arrangement, but they also maintain ownership of those assets. They provide the endpoint performance management and the service management and the mobile any security management that you required. It's all brought in together. The key difference between this and some other models that we'll see momentarily is that device as a service indicates that all of these costs are bundled up into a single device, or I should say a single cost associated with that device. That is what we consider to be a true device as a service model. Just for example, if you pay $100 per user for that device, that is inclusive of the device, the carrier service, the endpoint protection, any mobile application, threat defense, or security protocols that you have into it, and it's sort of bundled into that singular price. And what that does, what agencies have inquired about, and we've heard this before by even the private sector, is wanting to move some of those capital investments over to operational expenses. And so this is the description of how that would take place. Kelly, if we could please just go to the next slide. So device as a service is a slightly different than telecom expense management services. TEMS is an enterprise solution that supports the life cycle of the mobility and telecom related assets. You could think of telecommunications expense management as being an inventorying capability, so you know exactly what devices that you have, where they are, who they're with. It also is in part a billing reclamation capability, right? So a TEMS provider with a software, as well as usually involves some personnel as well, will take a look at your monthly bills, make sure that they are accurate, and then if there's any billing disputes or if there are any issues related with what the carriers are providing and what your records show, they actually end up mitigating that. And to be quite honest, it's not an uncommon problem when you're a large organization. If you're Department of Defense, Homeland Security, Department of Justice, if you strategically sourced your assets, then you're getting billing statements from the carriers that can be, over 50,000 devices and line items when you used to have to consider voice separately from data. And it can get very complex. The carrier systems sometimes make mistakes, but these folks make sure that that you're managing your assets appropriately, that you're shutting off what you need to shut off if you're no longer using it, and in getting involved in dispute resolutions when they arise. Those two are slightly different than a managed mobility service. A managed mobility service is similar to device as a service. It is a comprehensive solution where the integrator manages the outsourcing of the inventory, the distribution, and the security for an agency's mobile environment. This is a common structure. Most agencies have a managed service provider with their within their CIO offices to help support the acquisition and delivery and inventory management and costs associated with information technology. And it's differentiated from device as a service in that the costs, the buildups associated with it are split off. It is not lumped into a single per device price. Therefore, the capital expenses remain the capital expenses and the operating expenses remain that such. Mobile application vetting. These next two items. These are capabilities that the Department of Defense and the Department of Homeland Security, particularly their Science and Technology Directorate, have been really putting a lot of money into research and development associated with the applications themselves. What they realized was that although the MDM was an essential feature as the government was moving from BlackBerry devices to a multi-operating system approach with what is allowable into government. Managing the devices is something that was familiar to government because we've done so with BlackBerry. When it comes to the applications, the way that those applications are coded, how they're written, whether or not, I mean, it's just like any software. Does this have malicious code in it? Is this something that I should feel comfortable about bringing into my operations and pushing out to my user base? Both DoD and DHS, S&T were helping companies develop capabilities that their users could leverage in order to help increase the security posture of the mobile environment. So application vetting is a software and could include some services whereby you are looking at the code of the application and giving that a go or no-go, sort of helping you get through that authorization to operate process to make sure that there's nothing nefarious associated with how the application was developed before you brought it in. Sometimes with, well, let's not get into that right now. Examples of mobile application vetting solutions could be CryptoWire or Now Secure. Both of them are solutions that I'm aware of that are being used in and around the federal government. That's slightly different than mobile threat defense. Mobile threat defense is more of a live, it's sort of testing the live action of those applications as they reside on your phone, right? So a mobile application vetting solution will help you test the security of that code prior to developing it out. What mobile threat defense does is assess how that application is functioning as it resides on your device. Two examples of that it would be Lookout and Zimperium, right? Two examples of solutions that can help ensure that the integrity of the mobile endpoint, the mobile applications and the data residing on that device remain intact. Kelly, if we could go to the last screen, please. Mobile identity management is defined as a set of complementary products and solutions that issues and maintains certificates. This may include derived PIV credential usage, but we also know of many agencies and many companies who are looking into different ways in order to help authenticate the end user to ensure that people using the system are the people who they say they are when they end up using these mobile devices. Betsy mentioned earlier that we do try to stay on top of future-looking events. We work very closely with NIST as we were developing a definition for the Internet of Things. Now, one thing we want to caution about, IoT is not something that you buy. You don't go to the store. You don't look on GSA Advantage, or you don't look into NITAC or any of the listed providers to buy Internet of Things. Internet of Things is a design, development, operation, and maintenance of an infrastructure of network components comprised of compute, comprised of sensors, actuators, and how they interact with people that combine into a complete system that is meant to achieve specific goals. That seems like a very, well, first of all, it is a complex definition, but it is also something that is continually emergent. We see efforts associated with 5G and with current events. This is actually probably a generation or two beyond that. When you take 5G and when you take cloud compute, the question ends up becoming how do you end up pushing more compute to the edge to reduce lag associated with automation? And so this is one of those forward-looking things. Why are the vehicles that are identified out there? Why do we have them listed? Well, because if an agency is going to architect this, they're likely to be buying specific hardware, software, and sensor components that you'd be, as well as transport components that you would be able to access through the existing vehicles. This is in large part a research and development type of activity that's happening right now within, say, the United States Navy with their Mobility Center of Excellence, within the Department of Energy, and with some other agencies that are out there doing some testing and pushing the goals for this. Mobile application development and platforms. These are tools, techniques, solutions whereby agencies will be able to develop mission-specific applications. Really, this is the culmination of what many of us have been working towards. Many of us think that, well, and especially now within COVID, we are seeing the greater use of mobile technology in order to function as organizations and to fulfill the missions that each one of us have with our organizations. Mobile applications and mission-specific mobile applications are a big part of that. That can be done in a number of different ways. It can be coded native for iOS or Android operating systems. There are others who have platforms whereby you write the code once and it automatically ends up getting developed for either of those operating systems. I think one of the big takeaways here is as you're doing it, make sure you pay attention to the NIAP security protocols. There's fantastic information within an NSA and the NIAP program that can be used if this is something that you're considering, whether you're deciding whether to go native or whether to use different platforms in order to develop your applications. The last two are pretty straightforward. Ancillary mobile equipment. Anytime an agency buys a device, well, you need a screen, right? You need some screen protection. Sometimes you need a case. You need Bluetooth. You need to purchase those things other than the technology itself, so that people can use, and the devices are protected and are able to be used. And then the last one is consulting. Consulting services for mobile strategy, for mobile deployments, for technical assets, identity, mobile security. This can be I think the big takeaway here is that many of us in the mobile world view mobile slightly differently than, say, someone from hardware or infrastructure would view mobile. And so having a holistic view of what mobility is, what it means, how it's defined, what are the different components of it, is a niche that you may want to consider when you're looking for help in some form or fashion. So I think that pretty much covers the definitions. Betsy, any other questions, or back to you?
Thank you so much, John, and thanks for advancing the chart, Kelly. For those of you following along, we are on slide 12. Again, John, really appreciate the in-depth knowledge and background. The purpose of this session was to educate everyone on what these categories are. So I just want to note quickly that our team has discussed the need to keep these current. So at least once a year, we will be revisiting not only the definitions, but to ensure that any technology that is forward-looking or forthcoming is included in the categories. The intent is that these are comprehensive, so that there should not be products or services that one would consider falling in federal mobility that are not captured. So about every year, we are going to be looking at the update of that. Also, because there is a part of the document, the guide, that is controlled by each of the acquisition vehicle owners, if there is a change for a contract vehicle, whether or not their scope changes or there's some new initiative that they're doing, that could be updated more frequently. So I didn't want you to think this was going to be something static. We consider this the baseline, and we're going to be working it. Thank you again, John and Vince and all the other presenters. Now, I am excited that the next 30 minutes or so, followed by some time for your questions, is going to be the set of presentations. We're going to begin with Army Chess's Wayne Sock, the product lead there. He is going to be followed by the program manager from GSA, Mass, and EIS, Christian Williams. Then we're lucky to have SEWP Program Director Joanne Wojtek speaking about her vehicle. Then Teen Thompson, Program Manager for Navy's Wireless Spiral 3. And then rounding out the show will be Kelly Lael, the Contracting Officer from NIH's NITAC program, CIOCS and SP3. So I'd like to, at this point, turn it over to Wayne, and there are no presentation slides for this portion. For those of you who are looking for them, the contract leaders are going to just speak to their products and services. So thank you again for your participation here, and I'm turning it over to Wayne.
Thanks, Betsy. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure. Thanks again for having us. So just wanted to cover and just dispel some contrary to popular belief of Army chest just having a one chest contract. We actually do have 4 multiple award IDIQ contract vehicles, and I'll kind of quickly cover them along the mobility categories that were just mentioned. So just off the top, on the things that we don't support on our vehicles are the wireless carrier services, the device as a service, and the managed mobility services are the ones that we do not support in our vehicles. But the other ones are essentially divided into 4 IDIQ contract vehicles. Really, it's broken up into hardware, software, and IT services. And so for the hardware portion of it, any of the categories that talk about hardware, devices, or equipment, you can see that it's supported by 2 of our hardware contract vehicles. One is called ADMC, which is the Army Desktop Mobility Computing contract, and the other one being the ITES 3H, which is our IT Enterprise Solutions Hardware 3rd Generation vehicle. The other ones, as far as on the services side, anything that's regarding as referenced as consulting, management, and Internet of Things can be covered under our ITES 3S. Again, it's our IT Enterprise Solutions 3rd Generation Services contract vehicle is the vehicle that supports all of those. And the last one on the software side of the house, where it references about the applications, it's supported by our software IDIQ contract vehicle. It's called IT Enterprise Solutions Software 2nd Generation, which actually just got awarded yesterday. And so that is our 2nd generation software vehicle that will support any of the application portion. So I know I kind of went over them pretty quickly, but you can come on our website, https://chest.army.mil. And if you have any further questions, you can contact our help desk at armychest@mail.mil, as you can see there. But that's pretty much it. During the question and answer period, I'll actually have to drop off, but I have Ms. Yolanda Jones, who's our hardware and services lead at Chess, that can answer any of your questions at the end. But appreciate the time, and that's all I have, Betsy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wayne, for that overview of Army Chess. And Army Chess has been a wonderful partner in this initiative and other government-wide initiatives where we've collaborated on desktops, laptops. So we really appreciate your participation in Yolander's and your team. Next up, we have Christian Williams, a program manager from GSA, to talk to you about the GSA, not only schedules, but contract vehicles that support federal mobility. So Christian, it's up to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Betsy, and thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to talk about GSA's options to support government wireless and mobility acquisition. My name is Christian Williams, and I'm the program manager for GSA's wireless program. It has been my pleasure to be part of the acquisition working group. GSA's multiple award schedule, special item number 517312, is GSA's Wireless Mobility Solutions Program. You may be more familiar with the name Schedule 70, Schedule 70 has been rebranded to Multiple Award Schedule, or MAS, as Betsy mentioned earlier. And you have probably noticed references to both of those names during this presentation, and that'll continue as we transition over to the Multiple Award Schedule. The SEN 517312 program continually seeks to position enterprise mobility offerings to achieve value, cost savings, and an optimal balance between functionality, security, and management for agencies. This best-in-class vehicle helps you shorten procurement cycles, ensure compliance, and offers the best value for over 7.5 million innovative IT products, services, and solutions from over 4,600 pre-vetted vendors. In 2019, GSA updated and enhanced the Wireless Mobility Solutions Program to be more consistent with the category management principles and define the scope of mobility holistically. This updated solution includes not only wireless carrier services and devices, but also the security, management, and infrastructure components agencies need to meet their mission needs. This program replaced the SSSI wireless PPAs, as you know. It carries forward the best practices, which as detailed reporting as well as cost savings achieved via that program, and expands it to other areas of mobility to create a one-stop shop for all things mobile. The average customer can expect to save 20% or more when using this vehicle. It's available for federal, state, local, and tribal governments. Now, we have several tools available to support procurement, but one I would like to focus on is the Request for Quote RFQ Generator tool. This tool, which has also been recently updated, is hosted on the Acquisition Gateway. It walks you through creating your procurement documents step by step, ensuring agencies present a complete picture when requesting pricing, and gives vendors everything they need to expedite responding to your RFQs. I also want to quickly mention that for agencies currently using the best-in-class FSSI wireless PPAs, you can continue to use this until we exercise the option years, until 2023. Now, a best-in-class option to procure mobility services using GSA is EIS. The EIS program represents a successful collaboration between GSA federal agencies and industry. Lessons learned from FTS 2001, GAO report, and the Networks program helped shape the new EIS contract. The EIS contract, the successor to Networks, WIS 3, and regional local service agreements will make it easier for agencies to acquire their enterprise telecommunications and IT infrastructure services from a single source rather than having to coordinate multiple acquisitions to meet their enterprise needs. EIS provides federal agencies high availability access and insight to strategic solutions through utilization of the EIS suite of telecommunication and IT infrastructure services. EIS, which offers worldwide coverage, reduces the cost and acquisition time by leveraging an existing contract, which allows agencies to focus on missions, not acquisition. The contract has a 15-year period of performance, 1 5-year base, and 2 5-year options, and is valued at $50 billion. EIS is recommended when agencies are purchasing a broad suite of telecommunication products, wireline, infrastructure, and wireless, together in one procurement. As we know, technology is rapidly changing. The terms and conditions of EIS allow new and emerging technologies to be purchased by agencies quickly as they become commercially available. All right, so to close out, GSA offers 2 best-in-class options, the Multiple Award Schedule, SEN 517312, Wireless Mobility Solutions Program, and EIS. GSA is committed to supporting our agency partners with their wireless acquisitions. For assistance, you can reach out to us at wireless@gsa.gov. All right, I'd like to thank everyone, and I'll turn it back over to you, Betsy. Thank you.
Christian, thank you so much for all that information. Next up, it's my pleasure to announce Joanne Wojtek, who's the Program Director for NASA SEWP. Joanne?
Thank you. So NASA SEWP, hopefully you all know, is a government-wide contract vehicle. We've been around since '93. We're the oldest vehicle to do so. What changed in the arena that we're talking about right now is 5 years ago we made a very specific scope decision to include all of telecommunications. So up until SEWP 5, we were primarily an ITC, an IT AV contract, IT and audiovisual. We're now an ITC and AV, as we include all of communications. As you saw in that chart, we cover all the categories. Much like the schedules in GSA, it's a one-stop shop situation. SEWP is always set up to be to have several key factors. One is that our contract holders are selected through the competition to be companies that can bring together a solution, not just buy one piece of a puzzle and then go somewhere else buy another piece. So you can get the entire solution in one fell swoop. But we're also very dynamic. That's another key factor of SEWP. So there was talk about new technology. As long as it's in communications world, and if it's something new and something brand just came out today, tomorrow it can be on our contracts. So we're very flexible and provide a full suite of options for you to use to get to the wireless mobility, communications, telecommunications, all of that fun technology that's out there. We currently have 140 contract holders. That will stay true through SEWP 5, but we have access in the entirety of SEWP, not just communications, obviously, but we have access to almost 8,000 manufacturers and service providers through those 140 contracts, and we add about 5 new companies a day to that list. So I'm constantly adding companies who have access to new and exciting technology. As noted on the slide, help@SEWP.nasa.gov is your friend. Go there to ask questions. We have a great customer service team that can help you understand how to use our tools to make life easy to get what you need when you need it. And since we have a short amount of time, I'm going to leave it at that and move on so that we can get to the questions if there are any.
So much, Joanne. Next up, we have Teen Thompson, the Program Manager for Navy Wireless Spiral 3. Teen?
Yes, thanks, Betsy. Can everyone hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, again, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Teen Thompson, and I'm the Department of the Navy Wireless Spiral 3 Program Manager. And we're happy to give you all just a very quick, high-level overview of Navy Wireless Spiral 3. Navy Wireless Spiral 3 is a $994 million program comprised of a suite of 5-year indefinite delivery and definite quantity multiple award contracts, which allow for decentralized ordering through the placement of firm fixed price orders for wireless mobile cellular services and devices. There's absolutely no fee to use Navy Spiral 3, whose scope is for unclassified mobile cellular services and devices, and it supports our CONUS military members and civilians. Spiral 3 is not for large IT buys like laptops and desktops. Who should and can use Spiral 3? As per the Office of the Secretary of Defense Chief Management Officer policy issued in September of 2018, all DoD military members and civilians are mandated to use Spiral 3. Additionally, since Spiral 3 is an OMB-approved government-wide use vehicle, it is open for use to all federal agencies. Wireless Spiral 3 has helped DoD better manage its demand by 1, providing standardized simple service plans aligned with the actual DoD enterprise wireless mobility requirements, and 2, providing built-in free-to-use telecommunication expense management tools that give Spiral 3 users visibility of wireless usage and spend. Spiral 3 is basically broken up into 3 areas of offerings. 1, standard service plan packaging that offers service only or service with devices with the cost of the service plan inclusive of the device. 2, other non-standard or enhanced telecommunication services that include, for example, 5G, IoT, machine-to-machine, public safety first responder services like FirstNet, wireless priority service, MDM, EMM, and other non-standard service offerings. And 3, other newer devices, equipment, and accessories. We wanted to share with you some of the reported and recorded Spiral 3 performance metrics and savings. With nearly 469,000 lines of service on Spiral 3, its competitive pricing has lowered the average cost per device by approximately $8, routinely achieved 20% or greater in discounts when buying at an installation or enterprise level, saved DoD components as much as 40%, and via self-reported savings estimates will save DoD and other federal agencies an estimated $177 million over 5 years. Throughout the life of the Spiral 3 contracts, our contracting officer and our team may add new or reconfigured plans to keep up with the changes that are occurring in the current marketplace. This will happen and to also support any government policy changes, any technological changes, and any usage changes. For more information on how you can use the Navy Wireless Spiral 3 contracts, obtain user support, ordering instruction, please go to the Department of Navy Category Management website. We have a Navy Wireless Spiral 3 section set up on that website. You can also email our Navy Wireless Spiral 3 team, which includes our program contracting officers, mobility officer, and other SMEs that are standing by to assist with using Spiral 3. And that's all I have, Betsy, so I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Jean, for that review. Last but not least, is the contracting officer from NIH's NITAC program, Kelly Lael, and she is going to talk to us about their vehicles that offer that offer mobility services. So, Kelly?
Thank you, Betsy. Let's talk about NITAC for mobility services. At NITAC, we offer mobility solutions on all 3 of our best-in-class GWACs. Briefly, let me share. CIO SP3 and CIO SP3 SB are identical, but they're 2 separate GWACs. One is for small businesses and the other is for other than small businesses. These 2 GWACs cover all IT services and solutions. Our third GWAC, CIO-CS, covers commodities and commodity-enabling solutions. And if you come to visit us and you see on CIO-CS within the catalog that something isn't there, we can add it in generally less than 24 hours. So for mobility services, it truly depends on what and how you're procuring your mobility needs. But I do want you to know that you can use any of our 3 GWACs to meet your needs. So you may be asking yourself, well, how do I get started? I would invite you to our website, and if you type into the search engine NITAC, which is NITAC, it will lead you right to us. You can also use the link that's listed here on this presentation. At our website, you'll find there are several ways to get started. First, you may begin by searching through our contract holders on our website. However, what I would recommend is if you want to reach everyone in one shot, I would invite you to set up an account in our electronic government ordering system known as EGOS and issue an RFI. Through this RFI, you can ask for a capabilities statement. If you so choose, you can ask for our contract holders to help you, and they will educate you during the market research process. In my experience, they've also provided lists of things to consider while planning and deploying mobility solutions, all of which I found very helpful. And the third and final way that I would say you can get started is that you may also contact us by email or phone. On the presentation, you can see our email is nitacsupport@nih.gov. Also, this is available on our website in the upper right-hand corner along with the call-in number. We're available to help you with your strategy, next steps, and we can also, and do if requested, provide complimentary technical reviews of your requirements. Another thing that we offer is that contracting officers are there every day to take your calls. So if you'd like to speak with a contracting officer about certain things, please just ask. We typically respond to all of our calls in less than 24 hours. I'd also like to share that from our website, we offer monthly training on all of our GWACs, and also if your organization would like to request one just for your organization, we can set that up for you as well. I'd like to thank you for your interest, and I do wish you great success in your IT and mobility procurements. And again, if NITAC can help, please reach out to us. Thank you. Back to you, Betsy.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for rounding out a wonderful set of presentations that reflected all of the incredible strategic sourcing options that an agency has to get any or all of their federal mobility needs. So what we're going to do now is address any audience questions. And as Chris mentioned at the beginning, that there is a Q&A open for you to ask questions. And I would also like to, at this time, invite any of my fellow presenters to ask any questions or to make any additional remarks, perhaps something that wasn't addressed in this presentation that you would like to share. At this point, we are going to go ahead and shut down the recording because we have not obtained any written questions or additional comments. And we will just keep it open for another minute or so to see if there is additional information that we can share with you. And if not, then we will officially close the meeting. Thank you.